Kind of going back to your time at TripAdvisor, which of course is a marketplace that many of us here know about, what were some of maybe the kind of key learnings from your time there that you've then taken with you to Sesame?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think there's so many learnings that I've taken to Sesame and get too philosophical, but life in general. Like it was such a great company to work at. It still is a great company. Some of my best professional colleagues have worked there, still do work there. Um, I mean, I think it is really like an interesting marketplaces are so fascinating, right? So it was down to like sort of a neighborhood by neighborhood. So especially when I worked on restaurants, neighbor restaurants are hyper local, right? Um, a pizza restaurant 30 miles away from you is really not that useful, right? And so how do you deal with near me? And what is the trade-off between distance and quality? Distance, quality, and availability. Distance, quality, availability, and cuisine type. Um, in the morning, you're not really willing to go that far for your cup of coffee. If you're traveling and you're in Barcelona and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity and you want to go to a place, well, yeah, you'll travel for dinner, right? So it's contextual. It's contextual based on the scenario, based on the person, based on the event. What we found out about restaurants in general was that there's no personality type in restaurants. There's no archetype really, right? It's really based on, are you looking for a romantic evening? Are you looking for, do you have dinner with your kids? Are you looking for, are you traveling? Are you not traveling? Is this a special event? Are you with a crowd? I'm very happy eating a hot dog. I'm also happy going to a very fancy restaurant. I'm also happy eating street food, right? But it all depends on the scenario. So really understanding all of that goes into a marketplace, right? So what a good story, a quick story about TripAdvisor that I always loved, and I just came back from vacation in Italy, so that I was just thinking about this one. So in New York, we launched a filter on our marketplace for hot and trending. And so that would be like the hottest restaurant in New York City. Like, what are the new restaurants that you want to go to, right? It was really hard to do this because you wanted a new restaurant, but you wanted it to be good. And also, like, that means by definition, you had fewer reviews about it, which also meant it was more subject to people could game the system a little bit if they knew how to do that. So we always were very afraid of that. Um, but Americans love new restaurants. When they open up, like, let's go to that restaurant. We launched that same feature in Italy, and it bombed, like absolutely bombed. Like nobody liked it. Like people were like, why the heck would you want that? And so we did some user research, like you're supposed to do, and we should have done it beforehand, which is bad PM, like softwares. And what we found is that Italians, they think just the opposite of Americans. They're like, why would you want to go to a new restaurant? They just opened up. They don't know what they're doing yet. Like they probably just hired their staff. Like it was like, once if a restaurant's in the family for 3 or 4 generations, then they start to know what they're doing. So we launched the opposite filter, which was like family run, generationally family run. And that filter in Italy specifically did incredibly well. But did not do well in New York. So it's all about context with restaurants and with marketplaces. And I learned a lot of those lessons from TripAdvisor.
Yeah, that's a really great story about hyperlocal marketplaces and how nuanced each kind of market can be on a market level.
Yeah, I mean, like you go to different cuisine, like street food is big in some areas. I mean, I was obsessed with keywords and tags, right? So you go to Miami, you want a Cuban sandwich. Like I think if you walk around the halls of TripAdvisor to this day, I'm known as a Cuban sandwich guy because I was like obsessed with like how can we find that local food that is like down to the neighborhood like relevant, and that matters when you're traveling, right? So you need to invent some natural language processing and other things to like really understand that, and back to Italy, like there's different types of restaurants. There's tavernas and there's oestras and there's restaurantes, and restaurantes, you actually, that's a really formal meal. You really probably want a oestra more often than not. So you had to really get really nuanced hyperlocal marketplaces to understand that.